We're happy to have back on the show Pastor Marc Little. We had a great response to your last visit, Pastor, and so we're very happy to have you back, and I want to dig right into it. A lot of church leaders don't want to take a stand on politics. They just sort of want to play it safe. That's not where you come from. You're quite the opposite on that. You've spoken very, provocatively about how a lot of people don't maybe realize that Kamala Harris is pushing socialist policies. So why do you get involved when others don't? And what do you tell your congregation?
Thank you so much. It's so good to be with you, Governor Huckabee. And personally, I just connect with your pastor's heart. All the times that we've been together, you have really exhibited the epitome of a shepherd. And so I'm so happy to be with you. I'll tell you that it's very clear to me that God instituted government. We don't have to guess about that. It's also clear to me that he said, elect godly leaders over you, as Jethro told Moses. And I think that when Jesus came down from the Sermon on the Mount, he came down to his followers who were sitting there at his feet, and he gave them their identity, which is what he gives to us. He called them salt, and he called them light. And those things really have everything to do with the fact that our faith and politics are not separate. We're called to push against the culture, that's the light. It says that the light shined and the darkness didn't comprehend it. And we're called to be salt, which is a preservative, but it's also a preservative with flavor. And so when I talk to senior pastors and I tell them that God doesn't like lukewarm, he likes hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, he's going to spit you out of your mouth, out of his mouth. That's where I come from, that we don't have time to just let the culture do what the prophet said, to let good become evil and evil become good. I'm hell-bent, if I can use that word in this context. I'm hell-bent on being salt and light.
I think that's that's really the call for every believer, is to be salt and light. There's a phrase that you use, Marc, that if I said it just out in the clear, I'd probably be accused of saying something racist. You talk about a black wall and how that's an important part of understanding the politics of today. What do you mean by the black wall?
Thank you for that question. It really dovetails into what I am called to do as a believer against culture. But in politics, it takes not just foot soldiers, but it takes what I call the blood of politics. That's money. And I wrote a piece recently really extolling the virtue and really celebrating what Donald Trump did when he ran in 2016. He did what no one had done since Ronald Reagan, which was to come against and pierce the blue wall. And Wisconsin is a part of that. And I'm prayerful that he's going to do that again. But I had to write a letter, op-ed as we call it, talking about that victory, but then also saying, there is a different wall in politics, and I call it the black wall. I've been a donor, Governor Huckabee, and I've been in those rooms and I've gone through those doors, and I understand what writing a check does. It gives you a little access, and it gives you a perspective that a lot of people don't have. And I learned that black engagement for the Republican Party is anemic. It's not really what it should be. We've got to have a all hands on deck strategy, especially in this election cycle, as we come against a candidate that we've not seen before. We've not come against a biracial woman of color in our election cycles ever. And so to use the same old playbook and how to reach out to the black community has to be changed. And that's why I wrote that piece. There's a black wall. So when I go to my donors, I run a C4, and I'm also the chair of a C3, a very popular C3, started by Star Parker. We don't do politics there. But at our C4, we do. And when I go out and say that we need to penetrate the community that looks like me, a community where we've got over 800 pastors across the country that believe as we do. You know, Governor, black folks identify 26% as conservative, but only 8% vote that way. So there's a whole lot of people that need to be touched. And the black wall that says we're not going to spend money in that community prevents me and so many others from helping and doing our part in fighting against what is a socialist candidate who's going to destroy our nation. So my piece, my op-ed that says the GOP's black wall, I'm saying to my fellow donors, and I'm saying to the consultants and to campaigns all around the country who are fighting now for this country, don't overlook the black community by letting the black wall keep us out of this race.
You know, the economy is uncertain. You never know whether your money's worth as much today as it was yesterday. It's one of the reasons I buy gold from American Hartford Gold. American Hartford Gold has earned a 5-star rating and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Be sure to tell them Mike Huckabee sent you. They'll give you up to $15,000 of free silver on your first qualifying order. Call 844-417-1010 or text Mike to 998899. You'll be glad you did business with American Hartford Gold. I'm so happy to hear you say that. When I ran for re-election as governor in Arkansas in 2002, I got 48% of the black vote in this state. And that, to my knowledge, is the highest percentage of votes that a Republican candidate has received in a state or federal or local election that I can find. I haven't found another that got that level. And people say, how did you do it? And I said, you know what? I had the same message that I had to any other audience, but I didn't wait till the month of the election to show up and to start acting like that's when I wanted to vote. And I built relationships deep within the African-American community over a period of years. And I just think Republicans are missing the boat. And something you just said, 26% of black people are conservative. I think when you look at certain issues, it may even be bigger, because in issues like marriage and even the sanctity of life, quite frankly, I found that in many cases, black people are more conservative, more biblical in their worldview than are their Caucasian friends and neighbors. And we're missing the boat if we don't take that message to the people, as you would call them, behind the black wall.
Governor, I am smiling beyond what I normally would in an interview like this to hear you say what I have been saying to our friends and leaders for such a long time. If you want someone to vote for you, you can't be afraid to go sit next to them and ask for their vote. I can't be everywhere, but with a little help, I can be duplicated. And gosh, the message that you gave just as well as I could. And I thank you for it, because it's what the party leaders need to hear. And God bless you for understanding it.